Hello, my name is Wendy, and this is my new channel, Wendy's Retirement Life. And I thought I would share with you in this first video how I make compromises in my retirement. So, the compromises are not necessarily compromises on retirement, it is how I treat my retirement life. So I had a list of things that I thought retirement would be, but what I found out was not everything that I thought retirement would be was. And there are pros and there are cons, and I thought I would share those with you. So I have been retired since August of 2023. I retired at 59, and at the beginning of the year of 2024, I traveled for a year, and my goal was to continue traveling and not settle back down for a long period of time. Now, those things changed. There was multiple factors involved, but I was still satisfied. I was still retired. Everything was my life was good. I'm just going to say I was enjoying my retirement. But I'm going to tell you some of the pros that kind of slid in, and I noticed these more when I settled back down as a permanent resident and not traveling. So one of the things that I want to talk about is setting alarms. So in my mind, not setting alarm was such a big con. I'm sorry, I keep saying con when I mean pros. It was such a big pro, and I thought I can easily just go to bed, not set an alarm, not worry about what time I get up. I'm retired, I have all the time in the world. Now, the con to this way of thinking was that my body clock told me you get up at 7:30, between 7:30 and 8:30. So my body was telling me to get up, even though I wanted to sleep in. So I didn't really need an alarm clock. And to be honest, the only time I set an alarm is if I have an early appointment or if something comes up that I have to be somewhere at a certain time. So I don't set an alarm, but my body is telling me it's time to get up. So I thought I needed to develop my allergies are really bothering me, guys. I thought I would look at both sides of the pros and cons and come up with a balance, something that would make the pro and the con merge together. And so that's what I'm going to tell you what I did. So I'm calling this the pros, the cons, and the balance. So the balance between those two was that I could have a slow morning. And what that means is I have certain routines that I do in the morning. And so I would wake up. I didn't necessarily get up out of bed. Sometimes I would just lay there for a few minutes and I might scroll on my phone. I would see, my notifications that had popped up since I went to bed the night before. And then, or sometimes I would just get straight up and go fix coffee. And then I would come back, sit down, and just kind of catch up with myself. I would check current events. I would get on my iPad and watch a video, or there's so many things that I would do. I'd play a game, just anything that I wanted to do to just make it a slow morning. And it worked. And so I now just take it slow in the morning, but I know when it gets 10 o'clock, it's time to go. It's time to get stuff done and move on with my day. But I do allow myself that 2-hour window so that if I do sleep later than 8 o'clock, 8:30, then it's not a big deal either. Now, the value of this is that I found I'm not hurrying anymore. Like when I would get up and go to work, I had to rush, get ready, out the door, and I wanted to make sure I was out by a certain time because traffic was, 5 minutes one way or the other made traffic really crazy where I'm at, because I am across the river from Wilmington. So the bridge can go up because it is a drawbridge. And so I knew the chances of that happening it happened more than you can imagine. But anyway, it backs traffic up. And then Rex trying to get to work, it was just an issue. And I felt like in the mornings when I was working, I was hurry, hurry, hurry. So with doing this balance, I am kind of easing into the day and I'm not stressing, I'm relaxing. So when I actually start doing the things that I want to do, I don't have any anxiety. I am just ready to do what I need to do. Sometimes I try, to be honest, I try not to look at current events first thing in the morning, because sometimes that, depending on what's going on in the world, it does bother me. And so I try to do things for me, like read, listen to a book on Audible, or play a game, watch a video, just something to just get me motivated and started. And so my morning routine is once I get my coffee and I'm doing whatever, I know I need to make my bed, I know I need to take my medicine, I need to get my shower, I need to do all those things. So I incorporate that into that 2-hour time slot. And it just makes me feel like I am giving myself time to get adjusted to the morning and to check my planner and see what am I really going to do today. I do keep a planner. I didn't think I would after I retired, but I do. And the biggest reason I do is because traveling full time as I did, I needed to know where I was going and to plan things. And so I've just continued using a planner. It works for me, so I'm going to continue to do that. So the second thing was, when you retire, you're not punching a time clock. Your time is yours. And I thought the pro was that I had so much time on my hands and that I could do anything I wanted to do. So I could stay at home, I could go somewhere, I could get out and travel, whatever. The con, or the reality, was I had the time, but I wasn't utilizing the time. And by that I mean I was not leaving the house. I just reverted back to my normal routines when I was working, and that was, you need to get this done, you need to get that done. And I would think during the week, have I even left the apartment in the last 3 days? Sometimes the answer was no. And so I thought I need to balance this out. So my balance came when I forced myself to leave the apartment. And to force myself to leave the apartment, I set up an Instagram page, and it's called It's Time for a Photo. And so I make myself leave the apartment and I go somewhere and take a photo. It doesn't have to be earth-shattering photos. It can be, I've been driving down the road and just take a picture of the road in front of me. I mean, it can be anything. Sometimes I do plan out ahead of time that I want to go here, here, and here and take photos, and I do that. But sometimes I just get up and I'm like, I don't know where I'm going to go today. I may go to a restaurant, sit down and eat, and it be a new restaurant, and I take a picture of my food. The whole point is not the photo, it is the getting out of the house. Now, there are days when it's raining, the weather's not good, things are going on that I don't want to get out. And I will take a picture of something inside the apartment. But the thought behind this is to get out of my apartment. So I do try to do that as much as I can. And the other thought that came to my mind was there are day trips that I can do that is just going to cost me the gas to go somewhere. And so I looked at different things in my area as far as a couple hours away from me that I can go and just check them out, do it. Just, I've been to the zoo, I haven't been to the zoo here, but when I was traveling, things that I like to just stop and do was the zoo, museums, things like that. And I have done some of that since I have been back here. And I have enjoyed doing that. And that is another thing to get me out. I have a friend that lives about an hour and a half away from me. And I have been and visited her. And things like that. I'm just like, Wendy, you can take a long weekend and it doesn't mean it's a weekend. You can go Tuesday through Friday or Monday through Thursday. It doesn't matter. It can be a long weekend for you because every day's a weekend. Or you can do it on the weekend. And so I try to incorporate those kind of things into my days now. With my free time, what I do choose to do is to travel. And so that is something I enjoy, and I do try to plan those kind of things. I did not do as much in 2025 as I thought I would. But there was reasons, guys. I had to set up this whole apartment because when I started traveling, I got rid of everything. My intent was not to settle back down. There was a reason for me to settle back down, and I will talk about that in another video. But there was a reason for me to settle, and I wasn't ready to settle, but I did because it was a need that I had for my mom. So I had to set up my apartment first, and that took a lot of money because I had to buy everything from scratch all over again because I'd gotten rid of everything. And I tried to do it on a budget. So I went to resale stores. I went to like the hospice store and just anywhere that I could find used furniture and used stuff that I didn't mind bringing into the house and reusing. So I did as much of that as I could. But those two things was very important for me, is to figure out my routines and to figure out what I'm going to do with my time. The third thing, which I'm not sure if this has happened to everyone, and that is retired. And that is, my thought was, here's my pro. I'm retired. Now I can go out more. I'm not working. I'm not getting up early, and I can go out, meet my friends for dinner, go do things like movies, or I like to go to the ballet, those kind of things. And I thought this will be great because I can spend a lot of time with my friends. Well, the con is they're still working. I chose to retire early. They didn't. And so the things that we had in common are not there anymore. Work. So I thought we got to figure out some way to balance this. And so now I try to make it a habit to reach out to my friends and say, hey, do you want to get together sometime, even if it's on the weekend, and have dinner, catch up? Do you want to meet at a movie? Those kind of things. Now, I will say, the one thing I really truly did not anticipate at all was not on my thought processes at all, was that because I'm retired and they are not retired, the interest that we had and we shared was kind of deteriorating. Because in the past, we had work that we could talk about, their work, my work, whatever. And it was a common bond that we had. And I could leave and go and meet them anytime, but they had limited time. So some of those friends that I thought were true friends and that we would stay in touch, I never heard from them once I retired. And that's okay. I fully understand. I know that we all have our own priorities, but I did not anticipate not losing friends as much as just not keeping in contact. But what I found during this balance was that your true friends are going to be there. They will. Those friends that you can call and talk to about anything at all, they're going to still be there. They're still your true friends. And so you do really, truly find out who those people are. The other thing that I realized was I can make new friends. And so I did. I had my friend that she lives on the coast further up from me. She's about an hour and a half away, and she is a little older than me. She's about 10 years older than me. And we met at the apartment complex that I moved into, and we had things in common. My husband had passed away. It'll be 10 years ago this month. Her husband passed away while we were in the apartments. And so I was there for her to lean on, and we became really close. And we have stayed close in that time. And so that friendship has developed and has continued to develop. There was another couple that lived in the apartment complex that lived below us. We're all about the same age. And my friend Renee introduced me to them. And we have all remained friends. And I have built up a new friend group in retirement. And I will be the first to admit that is the hardest thing to do, is to create new friends. And I will give all the credit to Renee. We would speak in passing, and then she'd start asking questions, and we would just start talking, and then we became good friends. So she initiated that friendship, and I'm so thankful she did. The biggest pro that I really thought I would have would be having time to take care of myself, to get myself into shape, to start a weight loss program, to start losing weight, eating healthy, all of that. And that is a pro for me. The con for me was I created a lifetime of bad habits. And I'm not even going to say a lifetime. I'm going to say from my mid-30s to 60, I created some really bad habits. And those bad habits are hard to break when you get to be 60 years old. So I knew I needed to create a balance. And for me, I found out real quickly that I can't just jump out there and say I'm going to eat better. I am going to exercise. I am going to keep moving my body and do it all at one time. That's too much for me, too much change, and I'm not going to maintain it. So right now, what I am focusing on, and I have been focusing on this for a couple of months now, is that I am eating at home. Once in a while, I'll go out and eat, but I know it's healthier for me to eat at home, and I'm doing healthier recipes, and I am trying to get my eating under control. So my balance is make it easy on me. Eat, get my eating under control. Worry about that one thing. And once that one thing is maintainable, then I can start doing the exercising and going to the gym. Now, one of the things I need to say at this is the year that I retired, I also had a hip replacement. So, that being said, I do walk, regardless whether I'm exercising at the gym, which is my goal is to get to the gym. I have one right here in the complex, and I am going to start exercising the way I should. But for now, I can walk, and I am going to continue doing that because I need to keep moving to build up my strength in my hip. Because the biggest thing after my hip replacement was I lost confidence in my hip because I know it's psychological that I'm thinking, okay, they took my hip out and now I've got this replacement. And I know intelligently that that is the strongest part of my body, is that hip. In my mind, I had a hip replacement, and I'm always constantly thinking, don't fall, don't, you can't do this, you can't do that. I can. And it's just a matter of building that confidence up. So I need the exercising, and I need to be moving my body. My goal is to find something that I can stick to, eating routine, once I get that manageable, and then start bringing in some of the exercising. I know I will start to lose weight. I will feel better. When I do travel, I will have the stamina to do all the things that I want to do. So those are the reasons behind it. But for me to balance that for my retirement life, I needed to integrate one thing at a time. Now, the fifth thing that I wanted, which I really thought was going to be a pro, and that there would be no cons, but there are. So the first one is I thought that now that I was retired and I have all the time in the world that I can go and do things, and I'm not having to put in for a PDO request, or I'm not trying to put in for vacation, or I'm not having to go to somebody and get permission to travel. And I thought, okay, now I can travel anywhere I want to go, anytime I want to go. And the con to that is, yeah, I have all the time in the world to do it, but I really can't afford to do the travel like I used to do. When I was working, my income was higher, and I could afford to take the trips that I wanted to take, and I did. And so I just assumed I'd still be able to do so. When I retired, I was in a position where the company that I worked for, it was a hospital system, and we had a retirement. We had a pension plan. But the company that purchased us did not have a pension plan. So we were allowed to, they supplemented through the sale of the hospital our retirement. And I had enough money put into my pension, and because I am a widow, I could start taking my Social Security at 60 as widow's benefits, and I still could take a small amount out of that, out of my pension plan. I moved all my pension from where I worked into a private company that manages my financial stuff. So I get a check from them, and I get a check from my Social Security. I am not getting the money that I made when I was working. So the pro is I can travel, and I got the time, and I can do it, and I have the will to go. But the con is I can't afford to do it. So my balance was I need to plan in advance. I can't do spur of the moment big vacations. More than not, when I travel, I on a big thing, like last fall I went to, not this past fall, but in 2024, I went to Italy with my friend Jan, and we booked a tour, me, her, and her sister, which three of us have traveled together before. We're really good friends, and that is the way we kind of do it now, because I can pay the deposit and get a confirmed booking, and then I can just pay it a little bit, installment plans, until we get ready to go. And we always book it where we have about 6 months or more before we're going to fly out or go somewhere. So that really helps, and it just gives me a longer period of time to pay for it, and I'm not pulling out $3,000, $4,000 at one time to pay for me to go somewhere. What I will say is the first time I did a tour was about 6 months after my husband passed, and my son was on his break from school. He started college and had completed one semester, and then they took the winter break. He went back to school in January, and his dad, my husband, passed the last part of that January. And so in June, the end of June, 1st of July, me and my son went on our first tour. And I had mixed feelings about it before we went, because at that point I'm 50 and he's 19. And I'm thinking, are we going to enjoy this tour? And I was assured there would be multiple ages on the tour. And so we found out really quick that it was a wonderful way to travel. Everything's planned for us. I don't have to drive. I don't have to worry about what are the rules and regulations, in another country on driving and not driving on the other side of the road. And I am just looking at everything and just seeing. And it is so relaxing and so nice. You meet so many people on the tours. And he was the youngest, but the person that was next to him had graduated college. She was, I think she'd been out of college for a year. She was studying for her LMATs, and she decided to take this tour before she took her LMATs. So she was on there. She was just a few years older than my son. There were people between her and myself that were probably 40s, 35, 40s. There was me, I was in my 50s. There were people my age. There were people older than me. It was just a really good bunch of people, and you got the perspective of a lot of different people and what they see and things they enjoy and things you enjoy. And it was such a great time. I cannot tell you how much I enjoyed that tour. And the next time I went to Ireland, I did the same tour company, a different tour, and that's where I met my friend Jan. And we have stayed in touch ever since, and that was in 2018. And she lives in Canada. I live in the United States, and we will book a vacation together, and we will just meet in that area, in that city. And then we just do a tour together. So it's so much fun that I have made that friendship, because it has carried forth through my retirement. She was already retired. So the plus that has come out of this balance is that I can take these trips that I want to go on. I just can't take them as often, and I have to budget those. And the way I do it is by booking a tour, and I can just pay what I can pay each month. I'm not set up that I have to pay X amount of dollars each month. If I can only pay $100 this month, but I can pay $500 next month, and that's what I do. So this also allows me to take these little short trips that I want to do, like a long weekend kind of thing, where I can go and see and do things in other areas, especially in my own state and the states that are adjacent to me. So it just gives me a chance to do a little bit of both. And one of the things that I am planning to do that I want to do this year is I don't know if you've seen these troll setups. I don't know how to describe it, but in Raleigh, North Carolina, there's 3, I think, that are set up in parks. And I've got to Google the addresses and everything, but there's 3 there, and I thought I can drive up to that in a day. And then there's a lot of them up in Asheville. And I thought, well, I could take a couple of days, go up there, spend a night, maybe one night, 2, and then come back. But I could probably see them all. And it's just something fun to do. And it gets me out, and it gives me that sense of being on vacation. Now, those are my 5 things that I wanted to talk to you about. But I'm going to give you a bonus one that I kind of thought about while I was filming. And that is, I was so excited. My pro was, I don't have to set any routines. I don't have to have a routine. I can just live life to the fullest and not have to do anything. Well, I found out really quickly that I would put things off because I've got all week to get my cleaning done. And I would have to do all my cleaning in one day. And so at one point I said, Wendy, this is crazy. My pro was that I could do whatever I wanted and I didn't want a routine. But the con was I was craving that routine. And I'm sure there's some of you out there that are feeling the same way. I feel like I am a more productive me if I have routines in place. And so I went through and I divided my apartment into areas, and I do a area, for example, I do my kitchen and living room area on Tuesdays. On Wednesdays, I do my bathroom and my closet. And my closet is big, guys. I'm in a 1-bedroom apartment because it's just me. My son lives nearby, so I didn't have to have an extra bedroom. And so I got a huge 1-bedroom apartment, and it's huge in the sense of apartments. It's about 1,000 square foot, maybe a little bit more than 1,000. But my bedroom is really a good size room. So the only closet in this apartment is between my room and the bathroom. And so it's huge. And it's also where my washer and dryer is. It's where everything has to go. It is the only closet. My vacuum's in there, my mops, my broom, all of that stuff is in that closet. But it is separated. My clothes aren't like next to my mop bucket. So I always do my bathroom and closet together because I want to tidy up my closet, make sure it stays clean, make sure all my clothes are put away. There's never laundry laying around. And I keep that. That's done on Wednesday. On Thursday, I do my bedroom and my office area because I'm in my bedroom right now. And my bedroom is set up where I have an office area at one end and the bedroom at the other end. I have a queen size bed with 2 nightstands, and I have my desk and a bookshelf. It's just a good size room. And so I do that the last day. Now I tidy up as I go during the week. I make sure that things are put away before I go to bed. The dishwasher's loaded. There's nothing in the sink, those kind of things. So my balance was I didn't want routines, but I wanted routines. So my balance was look at these things that need to be done and create something that's not etched in stone that I can't deviate from. I am giving myself leniency to be able to move to these things to when I want them done. And I sit down every week and do what I call my functional planning. And I will leave a link up, a card up above. On my other channel is called Wendy's Plans. And it is a channel that I've had for many years. And it is where I sit down and plan my life. And I do all my planning there. And I started functional planning about 3 or 4 months ago. It has made a world of difference. And I went through and I wrote down every single thing that needs to be done when I clean my living room, when I clean my bedroom, every room in my house. And I set down a routine of a weekly clean, a monthly clean, a half a year clean, and or quarterly, and what needs to be done once a year. And I have this master list written down. And now I know that every week, this is what I need to do, whether it's do it daily, whether it's do it once a week, whatever. And it has really made me see the amount of time that I still have that I can do things, that I'm not procrastinating and putting stuff off, because I know I'm looking at it on paper. It only takes me less than an hour and a half to do my cleaning those 3 days, and everything is done. And I have a ton of time to do things, and I'm not worried so much that, oh, I don't want to do that today because I want to get out and do this. I know I can get out and do this because it's only going to take me this much time. So when I plan every week, I have an AM routine, I have a PM routine. And so every morning I do my slow morning, and I do it within 2 hours. At night, I do it in reverse. I get ready for bed. I get, wash my face, brush my teeth. I put my pajamas on. I will sit down in the bed and read. I will listen to my book. I might play a game for a little bit. But my goal is to be asleep by 10 o'clock. I will take my medicines. And so it kind of winds me down so that at 10 o'clock, I'm usually asleep. And it just, I think because I have lived by routines for so long, this is just what I needed to stay functional, not to be bored, to keep myself occupied, because I was finding that I would put things off and then I would not have done anything. And I thought, I don't want to wake up in 5 years and say, what have I done? What have I done? And so that is why I did that. Guys, my next video is going to be an introduction to me. I know this is just first video and you don't know anything about me, but my next video is going to be a video about me, why I chose this time to retire, how I did it. I'll go in depth and I'll talk to you about that, what I see as my goals moving forward, and I'll even tell you whether I will ever move out of an apartment or not, because I never thought I would be back in an apartment at my age. So it'll be interesting, my thoughts on this. And yeah, so if you have any questions, if you have anything you want to reach out and ask, I will be happy to answer those questions. And my premise will be once a week, I'll come on and do a video, and I will try to tell you in the video that I put out today what the next one will be. In that video, I'll tell you what the following video will be. So guys, if you have any question, if there's a topic you want to reach out to me and see if I know any information about it, or something that applied to me, or how I made it different from me, just throw the questions down below in the comment. And guys, I hope that you found this enjoyable, or that I could have helped you in some of your endeavors for your early retirement, or if you've been retired for a while and you've been having these feelings too. So guys, until next time, bye-bye.